Great. We've got our last guest. Hi, Mark. Thank you for joining us. You want to say hi to everyone quickly and just introduce yourself?
Hey, good afternoon, Melissa and Jeff. I think we're missing one of our guests. I can't see Amaya yet. There he is.
There you go. I was wondering if I'm still on the show or not.
You're doing the demo, Mark.
I'm doing the demo. I'll do everything.
Hi. So do you want to just do quick introductions before we dive into everything? Mark, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Mark Shinney. I'm an AWS Principal Product Manager leading the strategy and releases for our AWS observability services, including Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus and Amazon Managed Grafana that we've both just recently announced the general availability of. So super excited to talk about Prometheus in this show.
Awesome. Imaya?
All right, so my name is Imaya. I'm a Principal Solution Architect focusing on observability. I focus on Managed Prometheus, Grafana, OpenTelemetry, and CloudWatch Container Insights and other stuff. So totally thrilled to be here.
So, Mark, this word observability seems to have snuck up on some people, including me. Why don't you give our audience a sense of where did this word come from, and what does it encompass?
Good question, Jeff. I thought you were the domain expert on that. So observability is a different meanings to a lot of different people, but ultimately is a means of being able to, I guess, isolate problems faster. And typically it revolves around three main pillars, which is typically around metrics, logs, and traces. And really the goal there is about understanding the state of what you are monitoring in order to find problems faster. It's really what it's all about.
So seeing inside and then being able to use that to keep your system running high availability and
healthy performance, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus, we'll get to that in a sec. But before we do that, what's between observability and your launch? We've got Prometheus in the middle. So give us what's that all about?
Sure, I can take that. So Prometheus is basically an open source project that graduated out of Cloud Native Compute Foundation, or CNCF in short. It is a software that allows you to collect, store, and query metrics from application environments. It works in a pull-based model. What that means is you as an application developer can expose metrics at an endpoint of your choice over HTTP. And have an out-of-process agent scrape your endpoint for metrics. So this means applications are decoupled from the monitoring system itself, which offers great flexibility. Prometheus also supports an alerting mechanism that allows you to create complex rules to efficiently alert on the metric data that is collected. And one of the strong points of Prometheus is its query language called PromQL. It is a simple but very powerful query language that offers great functionality and ease of use all at the same time, which customers love.
Okay. So I know that we had a preview of this service running for quite some time. So Mark, why don't you give us a sense of what happens? What actually happens during an AWS preview? We can share your slides here, so you can actually step us through the. I think to me it's really interesting. We announce something new. We say here's a preview. What takes place behind the scenes as that preview is running?
Yeah, so great question, Jeff. Before I answer that question, let me just maybe do a little bit of overview of the service so that people understand a little bit more what Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus is. Amaya did a great job in explaining what the open source does, but why a managed service on top of that? And I think it really comes back to one, how do we make the service fully managed, secure, and highly available in multiple availability zone? Really eliminate that what we call that undifferentiated heavy lifting, right? We don't want you to have to manage the infrastructure underneath the service to be able to reliably scale the ingestion, the querying, the storage of the data. And those are some of the things that we eliminate from the need to have to do on a daily basis with the services. Highly available across multiple availability zones, very, very important for our service. For our customers, the ability to rely on that service. Security, right? Security is a top priority. We want to make sure that We secure all of the endpoint using native integration with AWS Identity Access Management Control. Be able to meet your IT compliance need by integrating with CloudTrail for monitoring any access to your control plane or your data plane access. Be able to look at using private link, right, to be able to eliminate the need for any of your collection agents that are collecting those metrics to make them securely available into a Prometheus, what we call it, a workspace. A workspace is simply just a logical and isolated space dedicated to ingestion, storage, alerting, and querying of those metrics that you can control the access to. So I think this is primarily like the service, and I think I like the question where you're going with this. What have we been doing during preview? And I think that it really comes back down, right? It comes back to two things. I think really coming back to our leadership principles. I'll put it to. One is customer obsession, and two is insisting on high standards. So I think one of the things that we wanted to be able to do is really understand like what was missing out of this main release. And there's one of the things that we knew that was already missing and we needed to get more validation about was really around the alert manager. So we needed to run, the alert manager is used to be able to deduplicate, group, and route alert notification. And we wanted to make sure to be able to build a very high available and Prometheus compatible support for not only the alert manager, but the ruler as well. Unfortunately, so everything is based actually on an open source project called Cortex. So this is primarily used for our data plane. Cortex gives the horizontal scalability to ingest, store, and query metrics. And one of our tenets as part of taking on this open source initiative and providing a managed service is the ability to contribute back to open source. And that was an important thing during preview, is understanding how can we make things like the alert manager more highly available by adding things like replication zone awareness. And these are some of the things that we wanted to do directly into in open source and work directly with the open source community, provide the designs and recommendations. Things as well as in terms of alert manager integrating receivers like SNS, we wanted to be able to provide more flexibility in how alerts could be sent to HTTP endpoint, mobile push, integrate with Lambda function to be able to target any other destinations like Slack, PagerDuty. So those are important things that, again, we didn't want to implement in our own service. We needed to work back through the open source community, contribute to Prometheus, merge that back into Cortex, and then take that onto our service. So those are some of the examples of some of the things that we've learned through our preview by releasing some of these new feature CloudFormation CDK support, right? Seamless integration to existing AWS services are key things that you want to be able to deliver as part of a fully managed service, and things that we've learned in as part of this release. Tagging support as well, the ability to manage, identify, filter, control access to these workspaces, and then ultimately, right, determine, scale out and provide support for multiple other regions as well. So those are some of the things that we've done during the preview, learned a lot. One important thing that we did also announce that we released before our main, I guess, GA release is we really adjusted the pricing, right? Ultimately, you learn a lot more about running the software when you're running it in production. And after doing that for a period of time and listening to our customers and realizing that our cost was not as high as what we were initially expecting, the first thing that we did is we worked and understood what those costs were since we've been running it. And we passed along those savings back to our customers. So we now announced a major price reduction, price adjustment back in May. And that's an important aspect that we want to be able to make sure that we are providing the right service at the right price for our customers.
That's actually really, really interesting. The fact that as you gained operational experience with the service, clearly you must have done a lot of work up front to say, these are the resources we need to run on internally. These are our costs for all of the different AWS resources it consumed. I've been privy to some of that. I see that it's often 0.00000 something per whatever. But then after having done all that, you said, well, now that we're getting this experience, we can actually, it's not costing as much as we thought, and we're just going to pass that along to our customers. That's one thing I never get tired of hearing about at AWS.
I love that contribution to open source. I really love that contribution to open source. I really love that. So this is all amazing. And how can we actually get started with this?
All right, well, there's a couple of different ways. I think Amaya is the best to show you that, maybe give you a demo of what's going on with the service.
Okay,
Yes.
let's get going. All right, so I'm on the Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus console, as you can see, obviously. So the way you get started is you create something called a workspace, and you can click on create, and then you can be very creative and then call it demo, and then click on create workspace. It will create a workspace, and in fact, that's pretty much it. So we're going to totally ignore this and actually going to show, I also want to show you how you can actually use this CloudFormation to create it, because that's one of those new capabilities that we launched when we went GA. And you can actually use CloudFormation, and I have a CloudFormation template here. It's super straightforward. You just have to give the alias for the workspace that you want to create, and you can add tags to it. So customers love adding tags to their AWS resources because it provides more capabilities for you to provide role-based access control, much more granular access control, and also identify costs for your resources and all that. So you can use, I'm just simply running AWS CloudFormation, create stack, and there you go, that my stack is getting created. If I go here, you can see that my CloudFormation stack is currently being provisioned. If I go back here, you can see that my new workspace got created as well. It's called Observability Workshop. I'm basically going to use the Observability Workshop that we have that gives practical hands-on experience for customers. And you can also see that I have some tags added called app, site, and environment, production, prod. So there I have my workspace created. Now I have these two endpoints, my remote write URL here that is available that customers can use to ingest metrics from their workload environments. Also, there is this query URL that customers can use to send their PromQL query from. Okay, so there's two main endpoints that customers can make use of to interact with the environment or the workspace that got just provisioned. So now that I have my workspace created, what I'm going to do is I have a EKS cluster. I'm going to show. So I have a lot of pods, a lot of workloads running, and I have a custom application that is running as well, and that is also exposing metrics in Prometheus format in its own endpoint. And Prometheus has the capability of doing service discovery on the environment that's running. In this case, it's EKS, so it can do Kubernetes service discovery endpoints to discover the endpoints to know where the metrics are available and what endpoints to reach out to scrape metrics from and what metrics to scrape from and all that. So I'm going to make use of that. And also, if you're using custom application workload, you can also annotate your services or pods to scrape to let the Prometheus server or the collector know to scrape metrics from. So I'm going to deploy the collector. I'm again going to the observability workshop, and I'm going to go to this page called ingest metrics from Amazon EKS, and I'm going to copy this set of commands here. I'm going to go to the same Cloud9 environment. I'm going to paste it. So here, this is actually deploying the Prometheus server. So now I have my Prometheus server being deployed. That is going to scrape metrics from my environment. And alternatively, you can also use the ADOT collector. ADOT is the AWS distribution for open telemetry. Here, I have a pipeline that I created in the ADOT collector where I have a receiver. I'm saying that the ADOT collector is going to receive metrics in Prometheus format, and there is a remote write exporter, which is basically saying that the metrics are going to be exported to an AWS managed Prometheus service. So here's a set of commands that this is all public. You can deploy. So this is as an alternate. This is not essential for you to run both at the same time, but this is for demo purposes. Here, I'm showing that it is possible for you to use both to collect metrics from. So now that we have deployed these, and I'm saying that the metrics are being sent to the workspace, but I have to prove that. For that, I'm going to show you how you can know that it's actually going there. To begin with, let's see if the pipeline is set. So I'm going to port forward into the Prometheus server that I just deployed. So now I'm currently into it. So I'm going to preview. This is the Prometheus server that I'm inside it, and I can here you can see the remote write URL. So the remote write URL is actually pointing to the same workspace that I just created called Observability Workshop, and that's the workspace ID that it's actually pointing to. And this is using SigView protocol, so it uses the underlying authentication that is available for the pod that it's running on. So now what is happening is I have my workload that from where the metrics are. I have Prometheus server or the data collector, both of them are there. They are scraping metrics from the endpoints in my current workload environment, and they are remote writing the metrics to the remote destination, which is the Amazon managed service for Prometheus workspace. All right. So now that I have both of that, I also want to show the other capabilities that Mark mentioned. One of the important things that we launched is the capability for creating alerts. Alert Manager is a feature that Prometheus supports that automatically allows you to create really complex alerting rules that you can actually send alerts to different destinations based on your metric data. So for that, I'm going to create a rule. I'm going to add a namespace here, and I'm going to paste this, upload this rules file, and if I click on continue, the rules file is currently being uploaded. And while that is getting created, I'm also going to add the alert file as well, the alert definition as well. So I'm going to upload that, and now my alerts and rules are being uploaded. So here you can see that my rules are being created. Basically, the rules that I have here is this. Here I have a couple of recording rules. Recording rules are something that Prometheus allows you to have to create new metric series based on a PromQL expression that you have that allows you to run PromQL queries efficiently later on. So here, this is the PromQL expression based on this new metric series is being created. And also I have two alerting rules here. These alerting rules are basically based on the metric that is created from the recording rule that I have here. If the pet's waiting for adoption is less than 0, there's a low pet inventory alert that will be triggered. And if there's greater than 10, then there'll be high pet inventory triggered. Just for demo purposes, as you can imagine. So I just want the alert to be triggered regardless. And here I'm using a variable. Yep, sure.
Sorry to just cut you. So we're getting these interesting questions about subnets. I don't know if you can see there. One of the questions from Cristiano, he's asking, is it possible to choose a subnets running Prometheus?
So the managed Prometheus service is a fully managed service. It is run on AWS managed VPC, and there is no subnet that anyone has to choose. There are two endpoints.
Okay.
You get the query endpoint and the remote write endpoint. That they are protected by SigB4, and you will be only if you have authenticated requests can be made to those endpoints.
Yeah. And just to clarify, right, you're still running that collection agent either on an EC2 instance or in a container cluster, whether it's Prometheus server or, as Amaya mentioned, AWS distro for open telemetry, that will connect into those endpoints to be able to send all the metrics and metric names, all those label values that enrich those metrics as well.
Awesome.
All right. Continuing on, here, that's my rules, and I have my alert manager configuration here. Basically, all I'm saying is I'm sending the notifications to an SNS topic here, and I have an email subscription for the SMS topic, so I'm going to get emails based on what is happening in here. So that's all I have. If you see here, I have the rules, I have the alert manager, and all that configured. So now I should get alerts anytime. But meanwhile, let's go take a look at the metrics as well. So for that, we have to, one of the easier ways to do that is to just log into Grafana, and Amazon Managed Grafana is a great way to do that. And we did a AWS on-air session a couple of weeks ago when we went GA for Amazon Managed Grafana. And here I have a Grafana workspace. And if you remember, we launched, when we went GA, we started also support for a third-party SAML based identity providers as well. So in this use case, I have configured one login, which is one of our login partners for SAML feature that we support. So I have configured that here. So I'm going to log in through one login, and I'm going to log into my Grafana instance. Here I'm in Grafana now, and you can see that I have no data sources or no dashboards or anything like that. So you can very easily add the Prometheus data source by simply going to AWS data sources and selecting Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus. And the region that I was on, I'm US East 1. And you can see there are two. I have the most innovative workspace name and also the observability workshop workspace that I created as well. So this is the one that I have metrics in. I'm going to select this, and now I have it selected. And here I can, I have my workspace here. I can simply go to the dashboards and click on one of the dashboards here. You can see that the metrics are indeed available in Grafana. So
flawless demo, like usual. No room for error.
Yes. Try not to have any errors.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention about the alerts. So there's the alert, one of the alerts that came in earlier in the day. Actually, there's an alert that just got triggered as well. So this just now, like about a few minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, that's the alert from the alerting rule that I created just now.
that's really awesome. We've been getting so many questions and comments in the chats, and we've been sharing links in case there are any that we didn't get to. Thank you so much, Imaya. Thank you, Mark. This was really, really very interesting, and this is very exciting. Jeff, what do you think?
Super, super interesting. And I don't know, to me, it just shows how much I'm kind of like blown away by the three things we went through today. Honestly, my mind is swimming in the breadth of what we get to do at AWS sometimes, and just how many different ways we get to listen to our customers and then answer them, not just with little sound bites of yes or no, but with, the customer comes up to us with like, here's this amazing, really difficult challenge that I have. And we're like, yep, we get it. We understand it. And then we're like, well, here's something to make that so much simpler and so much more straightforward. And always with this goal of letting the customer focus on actually creating something awesome and more doing their job than as Mark reminded me, the undifferentiated heavy lifting, right? That's the standard phrase. We probably would have chosen an easier to pronounce word if we'd known how often we'd be using that phrase. But it's such a great phrase just to say, we're going to take care of all those difficult, messy, somewhat low-level things for you. They're totally 100% necessary, but we're going to take care of it all for you so that you can actually do the thing you really, really set out to do in the first place.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Jeff.
And we always say here at AWS, everything that we do is based on feedback from our customers. I've just talked about feedback, Jeff, and surveys. We've shared the link for the survey. Please make sure to complete. We love to hear from you. What could we have done better? What can we change the next time you see us? Please don't forget to complete that survey. Thank you again, Mark. Thank you, Imaya. That was really, really awesome. Thank you for that walkthrough. Thank you for that demo.
Very welcome. Thank you, Feliswa. Thank you, Jeff.